Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander Tactical with continued coverage from IWA 2025 at everyone's favourite Mechanix wear tactical gloves. So they do have a refresh of 3 lines this year. Specifically, we have the Fast Fit, we have the original and we have the m-pact. So they've done slight updates to these. Some of them are quality of life kind of things for whilst you're wearing them, but mainly it's all around, as you'd expect from gloves like this, it's all around protection. So quickly having a look at the Fast Fit. Now, luckily, here is the previous version and here is the new version. So with the Fast Fit, the best thing about the Fast Fit is, as the name says, put them on and then you're just ready for action. What they've done with these is they have improved the overall kind of fit on your hand, and I'd say that for all of these, having been able to try these on, having already owned the Fast Fit, they're not loose, but what they've done with these is they've certainly made it better whilst it's on. You certainly feel that through the fingers and in the palm as well. The fingers now have a ripstop material on here to make sure you've got extra rip protection, and then through the knuckle you have some more, I forget the foam that they called it, but it's a special foam to give you extra protection, and then up through onto your wrist. But that's just across here. Now all of these gloves that we'll have a look at have all, so the lock where this section here, all of these have had an improved lock section, which again you can feel. So as you're gripping onto something, you can feel it kind of jams in there, but when it's in there, there's little to no movement. Very nice. And of course, with all of these new versions, there'll be the 6,728 different versions and colours that that Mechanix do. Now, next up with the originals, again, so some more quality of life things with this, especially with the fit on here. Through this lock area, they've changed that through, and there is a slight change to the geometry on the wrist where they've moved this strap ever so slightly. But what that's meant is that they've been able to increase the pad here and also add some aeration to that, hopefully to mitigate sweating and move some of that moisture out of the way. Now the last ones are the m-pact, which I think are possibly their most popular gloves of them all. Made quite a few changes to this one. So with the m-pact now, the way that they've changed this on the front, it's more like corrugated. So as your fingers roll, that you get more of a natural bend through there. What that really is doing is aiding in the dexterity through your fingers, but also just making sure that you've got a more even coverage through them. On the original ones, it's a solid piece that kind of goes through there with some articulation in there, whereas with this one, having had them on earlier, yeah, it definitely wraps around your hand as well. One of the bigger changes is they've added now, so you've got ripstop through the front here again, just to make sure that everything is protected as possible and you can mitigate some of those rips. Plus, the biggest change is that they've moved where the closure is. So before, the closure was on the inside, which, having the originals or this version myself, it catches on things whilst you're doing stuff, especially if you've got hook and loop on a chest rig or on a plate carrier. It gets stuck sometimes. So they've moved it from the underside of your wrist to the overside of your wrist. Now that's helped with a couple of different things. One, that kind of bit's getting stuck, but also on the underside here, where you have this padded section, rather than it just being on the part of your hand here, they've been able to move this further up your wrist, so that you get less, or at least you've got more impact protection in your hand there as well. Now, before we get on to the next grip that I'm modelling here, Michael Jackson style, there was something I just, again, to mention about all of the ones that you've seen today. So these are all touchscreen compatible, and plus you can wash all of these. So if you need to get these clean, you don't have to worry about doing some sort of special hand wash or anything like that. You can take these off at the end of the day, throw them into a washing machine, and they're completely safe for that. Now, the last set of gloves that we're going to have a look at here, so these are the Precision Pro. Now, these came out in 2024, but they're here again today just to make sure that they're increasing everybody's awareness of them. The whole idea for the Precision Pro is about maximum dexterity and being able to manipulate your fingers without any impedance whatsoever. On the back of the knuckles, through this section, through here, it's got that gusset in there that expands as your fingers bend, and then on your trigger finger, you have it here too. The big things here on the palm, it's crazy. So one of the things you can do with it is put it against something. You feel like Spider-Man when you've got it on. It's a very kind of soft, kind of tacky material. But from what they've said though, if it gets all muddied up, you put it in the wash, and yeah, you're good to go. What I really do like about these is the closure on the wrist as well. When it's on the back of your wrist again, so you're not getting this caught on things. But it also means that this, do they call it something? They do call it something. They call it padlock. This goes further up there, so again, you've just got as much of that as possible. What they've done with the other ones, that continues on to this as well, so where you have that lock where your hand gets into the grip itself, they've made sure that all that's reinforced so you get a solid plant on your firearm. So there's some awesome updates to existing lines. I think that's one of the things that I've seen this year more than probably last year or the year before, is that there's a lot of companies that are looking at existing lines and they're bringing out like a 2.0 version. It's great to see Mechanix haven't sat back on the laurels. They've found some of their most popular gloves and they said, right, how can we improve these? Which again, I think coming directly from feedback from end users. And then you've got newer lines like the Precision, which really are looking at you pig full delta gloves, because these are really going to cut into that market. Now, we do want to say a huge thank you to the Mechanix team for allowing me to film here today, and for more from IWA, stay tuned.